one notion which most people have about chemical engineering is, I mean, you think of chemical engineer working in these big chemical factories. It could be a petrochemical factory, it could be a refinery, it could be a power plant, okay? And that's what people normally associate with chemical engineers. Now, I think that was the concept maybe 40 years ago, because you wanted chemical engineers to be working in these kind of chemical factories, okay? And those were the kind of job opportunities which were existing. But today things have changed a lot, okay? In fact, there are no barriers between different engineering disciplines. Look at mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, civil, electrical, ocean, biotechnology, everything, I mean, is basically, although I am associated with chemical engineering, I do interact and do research with colleagues in other departments. And this is true for all faculty members. The reason why I am trying to especially bring this out so that you can get a job and move on. So we have to put you in some basket like chemical engineering or ocean engineering or aerospace. And so we have every faculty member, if you look at it, he will be having collaborations or doing research in areas which are not necessarily restricted to chemical engineering. Okay? And so collaborations will be with computer science faculty, it will be with electrical engineering faculty, etc., etc. And because that's the way things are becoming now, everything is extremely interdisciplinary. Okay? And I'm saying this because you know, most people are in a particular department or a particular branch because of the JE rank, and sometimes, you know, they are thinking, maybe if I answer half a question better in the JE, maybe I would have been in a different department. I really don't think it matters so much. Okay? And because as far as the bachelor's degree is concerned, the 4 years or the dual degree program that you are here, what we are going to do is, in any department, is we are going to equip you with basic skills for analyzing situations and problems. We are just trying to develop ability to think about a problem in a logical, scientific way. Okay? And if you are in the chemical engineering department, we'll take different examples. If you are in mechanical, we'll take different examples. But at the end of the day, the ability to think, about a subject is what we are trying to develop. The nice thing about chemical engineering is that it's one of the most broad engineering disciplines. Okay? And when I say it's one of the most broad engineering disciplines, I mean you have not just chemistry. Many people mistake chemical engineering for chemistry. In fact, there is very little chemistry in chemical engineering. Okay? You have to do a lot of physics. Okay, a lot of courses where you talk about fluid mechanics, for example, or heat transfer. Okay. So all this is basically courses which are deeply ingrained in where you have concepts of physics which are ingrained. And you need to have a lot of mathematics. So physics and mathematics actually form the basis of the chemical engineering program, and very less of chemistry per se. Okay. There is a course on chemical reaction engineering where you will be doing some reactions. The reason why I say this is because what we are trying to develop in the program is some kind of broad perspective about a problem. We don't want you to sit down and solve one problem in one specific industry. We want to teach you general concepts, and when you are faced with a particular problem in a particular situation, you will use all these general concepts, fundas that you gain to analyze a particular specific problem. Okay? Because if I tell you how to tackle one particular specific problem, then you know how to tackle that problem. But if you come up with another problem, I have to teach you another technique to solve the other problem. So the idea is, give you a broad set of skills which can help you solve problems general, and then you will know when what problem has to be solved using what technique. And then when you come back encounter a particular situation, you will use your repertoire of all the skills that you have learned and try and analyze the problems. Okay. So that way I think chemical engineering is very good. I think it's good because not only are we interested in producing chemicals, but we also want to do this in a very cost-effective way, environmental friendly way. So a lot of constraints come in, and so you really have to use your ingenuity to tackle problems. Okay, so it's not the days are gone when you could have a chemical factory which could pollute. Okay, so now there's a lot of consciousness, and so the chemical engineer has to work in a constrained atmosphere where he has to come up with ingenious solutions. Okay, and so that's where the challenge is. And if you are really passionate about the particular problem you are dealing with, I'm sure you can find a solution to the problem, which is technically sound and scientifically correct. I also want to be very clear about one particular thing, because you are young. I mean, when I look at the kind of students who graduated with me, okay, I think after finishing their B.Tech here, they are doing all kinds of different things. I mean, but they pursue their passion. So the idea is, I mean, when you came into this institute, I mean, you went through a process, you got in, and now you are going to be here for 3.5 more years or 4.5 more years, okay? And this is the time for you to ask yourself what exactly it is that you want to do. And it's not an easy question to answer. Okay. What the institute does is it provides you lots of opportunities. There are many avenues. I mean, there is this hobby club and the Center for Innovation, and there are so many other activities going on. So what you should do is you should try and make use of the opportunity and try to explore different avenues. And this is the time, the next 3.5, 4 years that you are here, that you can explore different things and find out what exactly it is that excites you. Just because something excites a person doesn't necessarily mean it is going to excite you. Okay? And I want you to find out what it is that you like. And the best way to do that is maybe you can try a couple of things, try a few things, and see if it excites you, see if you like doing that particular hobby or club which has some technical component in it. And if you find it interesting, it's very nice, because you are really passionate about it and you can develop your interest. And there is no such thing that this is good or that is bad. Okay, you can, as long as you are excited and you are passionate about your work, and you can definitely spend time and do things. So I see there are so many things in the C5. They had a program. I don't know how many of you went for that open house they had for the Center for Innovation. I think about a month back. Did you people go and visit the thing? So I mean, you can see so many, and one of the things, unfortunately, is the chemical engineering students were more involved in the management of things. But I really want to see chemical engineering students actually go and put up a particular thing. So, for example, can you make a car? There's something like chemi car competition. So we can possibly think of a car which runs on a chemical reaction, and and you can just Google chemi car. So, for example, and then you can see what exactly are the conditions. And maybe you can think in terms of having a car which runs on a chemical reaction. It has to do a certain bunch of things, go so much distance in so much time. So you have to have a reaction which is actually driving the car. So things like that. Many things can be done. And so the floor is open to all of you. In fact, the next question I want to ask you is, how many of you have actually looked at the website of the department? Okay, that's good. I'm very happy that so many hands have gone up. Now, the one thing which I want to tell you is that we have about 30 faculty members. Okay, and there are 30 faculty members who work on across a wide range of areas. There are people working in polymers, there are people working in heat transfer, people working in fluid mechanics, people doing nanoparticles, materials. So, and there are people who are doing experiments, there are people who are running simulations on computers. So, there is a wide spectrum of areas which you will see all the faculty colleagues are working in. Some in energy, some in something else, and environment. The point is, I mean, you should be able to definitely find some faculty member working in an area which may excite you. Okay, and you can talk to them. What I'm going to do is, after this, I'm going to tell my students, my colleagues, that I had a chat with them, and then some of the first year students may approach them, so that you can possibly talk to them and see if you can get started in some small way, doing some work, and then you are here for 2-3 years, so you can spend that much time. I realize that you don't have the background, okay, to really do a project. But if you start now, slowly read and try to balance your academics with a project, maybe over the next 3-4 years, a nice problem can be solved by you people. Okay, so that's the kind of thing we should really aim for, and you should do things which excite you, and you should find out what excites you. Just because something excites A doesn't necessarily have to be that the other person is also going to be excited. So, I mean, like going to a hotel, huh? Somebody likes Rasgulla, somebody likes Jalebi, so not necessarily that everybody likes the same thing. So you need to find somebody likes doing a project on environment, somebody likes to do a project with, on mathematics. So different people get excited, get turned on by different projects. So you will find, so you need to see what it is that really, if you like physics, for example, you might want to work on a problem in fluid mechanics or heat transfer. Okay, if you like to do something very relevant to society, then you may want to work on something related to environment. So each person has his own bent of mind. And that way chemical engineering gives you this ability to branch out. And like I already mentioned, I mean, you can work with your background in chemical engineering, you can work in biotechnology, you can work in aerospace, you can work in anything. Because chemical engineering is the only program where we have not only the regular math course and all that, thermodynamics is very, very crucial. Okay? And the kind of grounding you get in a course like thermodynamics in chemical engineering really helps you later on. And the other courses that you do, like rate processes, transport phenomena, is another end of the spectrum, which also helps you think about how quickly you can get something done. So this basic training helps you fit into anything. In fact, I would say about 5 to 10% of my class, when I study here, the class size is about 30. So about 3 or 4 people are actually working in biotechnological companies, although they were chemical engineering background. So that chemical engineering training that you get here, whether it's light or not light, doesn't matter. I'm going to tell my colleagues to make it heavy. They're not going to be light anymore. This is ridiculous. But the chemical engineering training helps you go to other areas. Okay? And that is something which you will not be able to do if you are in any other department. Okay? So to talk about, for example, our interactions with electrical engineering, there are people who are developing small sensors. Okay? And for that we have collaborations with electrical engineering. And if you are talking about developing algorithms for data mining and all that, then you have interactions with computer science. So I mean, I'm just giving you some examples here to tell you that chemical engineering is something where you can branch out to any other discipline and you are not restricted. And if you look at the website, you will see that there are people who are actually interacting with other departments, who are completely different. We won't even have thought that chemical engineers can do this, who are actually working with other departments. So to answer the question, what is chemical engineering? I mean, it's kind of very difficult to answer. It is not that a chemical engineer is going to work in a factory anymore. Okay, it's something he can work in any environment, and that's the skill we give you at the end of 4 years. Okay. We'll have, I told you it's going to be interactive, so we'll keep it interactive. And what is it? This notion about chem being light, I don't know. But let me confess that when I all joined, people told me the same thing. Okay, so so I mean, I'm not going to sit here and. But those days chem was very light, yeah. Okay, those days chem was, but I don't think it's light anymore. Anyway, I think my colleagues have been working very hard to try to make things a bit more intense. But I think this business of being light, when I studied here, it was a 5-year program. So, we really had an extra year to get the B.Tech. And after I finished, This changed it to a 4-year program. Mine was the last 5-year batch. After that, they made it 4 years. So then we were cramming in something. And in fact, now, see, one of the things about chemical engineering is we do a little bit of over-design. So you try to design a chemical unit, a heat exchanger or a boiler or something. You make a calculation, you design, and then you say, look, certain things, uncertainty is there, and so I'm going to take care of it by having a safety precaution, making it slightly safer, and go for a more conservative design, make it slightly bigger. So that's something which we do. And when I was here, so there would be courses which there would be some overlap and some repetition. But to me, I think it is necessary, because it's not that every day you are attending with 100% attention. Some day you lose out on attention, some day you are attending properly. So a little bit of repetition is always good, because you don't get it the first time, you get it the second time. Unfortunately, what has happened now is we have completely streamlined our curriculum. Streamlined our curriculum in the sense now we are making sure there is no overlap between courses at all. And so, I mean, you're going to hear everything, all the concepts in a particular course only once in your life. Okay? And if you miss it, that's it, you're not going to get it again. So, that way I think it's a little bit of a challenge for you people, in the sense you have to be on your toes and make sure you get whatever concepts the prof is giving you. Because if you miss it in this course, not that you're going to get another course where you're going to get a similar thing. So we have come to this very new curriculum where things are so streamlined that I think we have about 11 or some core courses, and the others are electives. The idea is we wanted our students to explore electives in other departments. So that was a decision which we took. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. But the fact is, the number of core courses in chemical engineering that you will be doing is slightly lesser than what they have done. Okay? And whether it's good, I don't know. Whether it's bad, we don't know. So the point, but you have to be make sure that whatever gyan you're going to get in a course once is what you're going to get again. I mean, another course you're not going to get the same gyan. Okay? That's basically what it is. So I mean, that's one way of trying to make things heavier than lighter. I think few other things which I would like to just share, which has got nothing to do with chemical engineering, is, I mean, you come to an atmosphere where you are completely independent now. I mean, you guys were possibly at home, and now you are in an atmosphere where you are in a hostel, complete freedom. And it's important that you use this freedom in a nice, proper way. Okay? And we like to treat our students as mature students. You're young, you're immature, of course. So, but we still like to believe that you will be responsible and mature. So, we want to give you that kind of respect. And I want you to make sure that when you are in the department, you keep this in the back of your mind, because every faculty member says, oh, this is our student, we want to give his space to be himself. And make sure you use this properly. Okay? Make sure you use the space and the independence that this institute and this department gives you properly, and don't abuse it. Because, I mean, there's a very thin line which is use and abuse. Okay? And so you have to decide for yourself, and you have to be you. Okay? And that is kind of difficult sometimes, because you are surrounded in a hostel with so many people, and yeah.
I want to ask, what is research means? Can you give a simple example that can fit in our knowledge, the high school level or pre-college level knowledge? Do researchers invent new theory in a given topic? And if they invent, why they are all not as famous as relativity and such theories? Also, what is the difference between publishing a paper and inventing a new theory? If they start research, how they start research, how they conclude the points about research.
Okay. So yeah, I think he is talking about research, and like I told you, I mean, you look at the faculty profile in the department, you will have different areas of research each faculty member is doing. Okay. So, since this, let me tell you something practical before going to something more abstract. What I think is possible from the point of view of the student, like I told you, is you can possibly talk to a faculty member, okay, whose area you think you are interested in, and you can associate with him and start reading something about the work he is doing. The idea is, in order to be able to do good research, which makes an impact, you would have to spend at least 3 or 4 years. Okay, 3 or 4 years after you have done the B.Tech. That's when you can actually do good research. Now, what you can do is, now you are just the first semester, okay, and so you really don't have the background for different things. So it will definitely take more time, but when, in order for the student to be able to get into research, okay, which is something which all the faculty will encourage, is that you should stick to one particular faculty member, one particular problem, and try to work in that area for a long time. Okay. It is likely that you start and then you say, oh man, after 1 year this is boring, I don't want to do it. It's fine, that's perfectly okay, but you can decide you don't want to work in that problem again. But the minimum courtesy that I expect from a student is that the student should go to the faculty and tell them, look, I'm not finding this problem interesting anymore, I would like to stop working on this problem. That is the basic courtesy, basic decency, which unfortunately most students lack. This business of coming and telling a faculty member, look, I'm not going to work on this problem. What he does is he just stops coming, he just disappears. And then when he sees the faculty member in the corridor, he is very uncomfortable. He is looking that way, he is looking this way. And I think this is completely unnecessary. I mean, here is a faculty member you worked with for a year and a half, and then suddenly it looks like the guy doesn't even know you. So I think this is completely, an unnecessary situation the student is getting himself into. So what I would suggest is, I'll answer your question, okay? So when you talk, since you talk about research, so you can work with the faculty, whatever it is, yes or no, you want to stop, please tell him, be frank, and that is a minimum courtesy. What's the worst thing that can happen? The guy may shout at you, right? Okay, at least you are clear in your heart that you expressed your feelings and you are done with it. So then, next time you see him in the corridor, at least you will say hello to him, right? And instead of looking at the sky, pretending the other guy doesn't even exist. Okay. So, to talk about research, okay, we need to identify certain areas. Okay. Now, let us talk about a problem which is kind of hot and good these days, which is the solar energy. The general idea is that you have the fossil fuels are getting depleted, and people have to look for alternative sources of energy. So one thing we need to do to harness the solar energy is to develop materials which can efficiently capture this solar energy, and you can convert it to electricity. So by way of research, one area could be to develop materials which will do this harnessing of the solar energy. So that is something which people like Raghuram Chetty is doing, and Arvind Kumar is working on. They talk about methods of harnessing solar energy. So you're talking about developing materials meaning some catalyst kind of thing. You can think of catalyst. It could be graphene, that's a material. It could be wrapped with some titanium dioxide, or maybe you want to go for a different material. Okay, so to tell you, so this is one area of research where you can experimentally make different kinds of materials and try to study the efficiency of the process. Okay. In a similar way, carbon dioxide is responsible for global warming. Okay, and there are people who are trying to develop new catalysts to convert carbon dioxide to maybe methane or some other source of energy. So that could be another area of research. This is on the experimental side. So is it possible, because now it would look to you that you are doing this by trial and error. Now one day you came and you put titanium, one day you put molybdenum, one day you put cobalt, and then you are trying to just be lucky to get the right catalyst. Okay. The other scientific way of doing things is you can go down to things like quantum mechanics, and we do use things like quantum mechanics to actually calculate what is the right composition of the catalyst which will give me a particular performance or an efficiency. That is, we are not doing experiments blindly. We make calculations based on the interaction of the electron shell in the reactant and the electron shell of the catalyst. We make calculations which will involve things like solving Schrodinger's wave equation. That's what I said, physics is very important. And then you try to come up with the right composition of the catalyst which will enhance your reaction. That is what your calculations are telling you. And then you have to verify that by doing a experiment. So you go and make a catalyst, so somebody else may be doing that. You will be making the catalyst and you will verify if what you are saying is indeed right. Okay. This could be one example of how research, one level of research. We are talking about catalyst because catalyst is something you can relate to. Okay. You asked so many questions. What was the other question? I could say also, that may be better. Yeah. Yeah.
Why there is
why you are not making a big impact?
yeah.
Yeah, I think no. The reason I don't know if you are not making a big impact. Okay. But I need a mic then.
Yes, sir.
So okay. I think there's no point in dilly-dallying or not being honest about this. So I'll give you a honest answer. We were This one. See, till about 2005, 2006, we were pretty much engrossed in undergraduate teaching. Okay, we were mainly focusing on because that was the need which the country had. We wanted to produce engineers, and this we never really were doing some research. I mean, there are people who are doing research, but the thrust was not so much on the research. Okay, in fact. Those days when I joined first as a faculty member, I mean it was very difficult for industry to come to IITs and say, look, I'm having a problem in this industry and we want the IIT faculty to actually come spend some time and try and solve the problem. I'm talking about 1989, 1990. Okay, you guys were even born at that time. So that was the kind of situation which we were in. But today the situation is completely different. Today we are focusing a lot on research. Okay, when I started my career, I think the department had maybe 10 or 12 PhD students. Today we have 150 PhD students. Every faculty member has about 10 PhD students. Those days the entire department had. So now the emphasis on research has really started, and so you will see a change about doing research. And but the point is, in order to do good research, the faculty member can only act as a catalyst. He can only try to encourage people to do something in a particular area. Okay? The actual work has to be done by students. Okay, and we need students. And research is like running a marathon race. It's not like a 100-meter dash. It's not like you go. I mean, it's like you go to a hotel. It's not like fast food. You tata, eat something and go. You have to go, sit, relax, enjoy in the hotel, and then relax, eat, spend 2 or 3 hours. So like that, research takes 3 to 4 years of dedication because you have to see what is the challenging problem in a particular area. Then you have to sit down and find out what other people have done. Understand what other people have done, and then do something better. So that takes time. Okay, and so that kind of dedication And are you ready for the long haul? Are you ready to work on a problem for 3 years or 4 years? Then we can definitely address the problem and then we can solve it. Okay? But if you're not, your attention span is very short, only 3 months, 6 months, then no, it's because there's to be very frank, I mean, students have this notion, the biodata after at the end of 3.5 years, I have to go for placement. So biodata, I'm sure I've done 20 projects. 20 projects, you might have spent 1 month on each project, you have to learn nothing. So it's just on the biodata. But if you say I've done one project, and let us say you have published a paper, or published 2 papers, or gotten a patent, then I think that has much more impact. Okay. Unfortunately, our students don't realize this. They think, I have to pad up my thing with lots of lines on the biodata. I did solar energy, I solved this problem, I solved that problem. But I suggest you guys should focus on one problem and you should work on it. And even if you don't solve a problem, you would have learned a lot in one area. And that learning is something which cannot be compensated. Okay. Most people tell me, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to do P.h.D. or what is going to happen. I mean, maybe I'm going to do something else. But I mean, you are here. And I think when you work on a problem, I think that learning will help you later on in good stead. Whether you're going to do an MBA later or not an MBA later, whatever project you have worked on for 3-4 years, okay, and try to get something will help you. Okay, but I'm not saying that you are working on a problem and let's say for some reason you don't like it. Well, you are of course free to quit, but just be decent about it. That's all. Okay? Not everybody will like the first problem they are working on. So try 1 or 2 things, then you will like. But just be decent in your relationship with faculty. That's the minimum we are expecting. And I don't think it's very, asking for too much. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, apart from curriculum, what other skills or other courses would you recommend for us to do at the end of the 4 or 5 years, so that we can sort of stand out from others and make a better impact in the industry?
See, that's a very difficult question to answer because you should do what excites you. Then you'll automatically stand out. I'm very passionate about mathematics. Okay, and so I can tell you should do all the math courses, and I think it's very important in my opinion. But I'm biased. I'm biased because I think if you do all the math courses, I think it gives you a better perspective and it gives you a better way to analyze things. And but I think that is possibly not going to be the right answer. You ask somebody else, he will say you do more chemistry courses. Okay, because we are very chemistry lean in our curriculum. And sometimes our students suffer because they are chemistry lean, but I think chemistry anybody can learn. Okay, it's just a reaction. But that's again a biased opinion. So I would not be in the right frame of mind today to actually answer and do this course, do that course. I think that's ridiculous. Okay, I think all the courses are good. And in fact, and that's the thing which you have to realize. Every course, even if it's a humanities course, startups and stuff like that. So I think one of the things we want you to do is use this time that you are here to see if you can do something independent, become an entrepreneur. Okay? And it's very easy to see, you hear all these success stories, this guy is a big entrepreneur, but for every successful entrepreneur, let me tell you, there are 100 who have failed. But you should do something on your own, try, because this is the time for you to fail. If you succeed, very good. But if for some reason you don't succeed, the learning that you have gone through is something which nobody can, compensate. You can go to any number of courses and classes. That learning is something, but when you start something on your own, you try different things. That learning is something which is an experience which nobody else can give you. Okay, so you definitely should use your stay here to. And it's not easy. Okay, but there will be people who are trying to do things. There may be faculty also who are trying to start companies on their own, and you may want to be associated with them. And a lot of people are doing that in many departments. So that's another opportunity which you have, which you can think of. Whether you want to be as a part of a startup which a faculty member is involved in. Okay, the startup could be on data analytics, which means a lot of mathematics is there, or it could be in manufacturing sector. Okay, but the idea is you need to get an idea. So you can talk to faculty, you may have an idea, or faculty has an idea, you can be associated with them, and that is another avenue which is available. Okay, so yeah, anything else? Yeah, speak.
So I am a I am a second year student, and before we have holidays, we have 4 months of a semester. For a year we have like 4 months of holidays. So after the third year we do a summer internship. Till that time I have like 5 months free of holidays.
Yes.
So what options should I pursue in that time so that I can know what my interest lies in?
Yeah, so I think what options should you pursue? You are in your third semester now.
Yeah.
You're in the third semester. So you have this winter coming up, and then you have the next summer.
Vacation and one summer vacation.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, I think you have, like I mentioned, C5, Center for Innovation is one option which is available, where there are different clubs. Okay, there's robotics club, and there is people who are some aeronautical club, and this and that. So many different clubs are there. You can spend some time, take a look at what they're doing, okay, and then you can possibly get involved in that. Alternatively, you can have faculty members, you can contact faculty members, and you can see what, first look at the website. First look at the website, see what it is that you find exciting and interesting. Then you can possibly talk to the P.h.D. students of the faculty member. See what they are doing, whether they are doing experiments, etc., etc. Okay, and but maybe before you talk to the P.h.D. student, you talk to the faculty member himself. The faculty member will put you in touch with the P.h.D. student who is working with them. And then you can see, as you do an experiment, is he writing computer program? If you like to write computer programs, then you want to work with the faculty member who is writing computer programs, not the guy who is doing experiments. So you can basically use this opportunity to talk to people and see what they are doing, spend some time seeing what they are doing, and then you can decide, oh, this is what I want to do for some time, and then you can continue. Okay? So you should talk to faculty members, and preferably in chemical engineering. You can also talk to people outside, but I would suggest you should talk to people here, because your background, whatever you've learned, will be very relevant and applicable here. And there's a broad spectrum, so you'll definitely find somebody doing something interesting. Yeah?
Sir.
But sometimes, it's also good to go home and have a vacation. Huh?
No, but
The mom's cooking is always good, yeah, hostel food,
yeah, but it's better to be productive rather than waste time.
Yeah, you can decide. Yeah. It's good to be productive also. Yeah.
Sir.
And I have many students who do projects with me in the winter and summer, so I don't have a problem with that. Okay? I don't have a problem, but I sometimes think our students are too crazy. They should go home and enjoy life also. Okay? Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah.
While trying to contact faculty regarding projects, we go through the websites and their research pages, but mostly it's abstract because you have just completed 3 semesters in our course and we don't know much of chemical engineering.
Yeah.
So how do we actually understand what's going on there?
That is a difficult question. That's a very difficult question. In the sense you don't understand what's going on because you don't have the background. Okay? And so that's the reason I said you talk to the faculty. Well, out of 30, maybe you can zero it down to 2 or 3. Well, that much you can do, right? And then I would suggest you talk to that particular faculty members, that particular set of faculty members, and see what this PhD student is doing. Okay? What I'm going to do to facilitate this is I'm going to write to my colleagues as soon as I go home, saying I had this discussion and I've told the students to, and some of you will approach them. And what they will do is, the first thing, because see, I don't want to waste my time with a student who's not serious. And I can understand you're not serious because you don't know whether you want to be serious about this project or not because you don't know anything about the project. Right? So you spend time with the PhD student, he'll be doing some experiments, you can help him with the experiments. You can see if you find it interesting. And then if you really like it, then you can continue. If you say, no, this is boring, I want to do something else. Like I told you, please tell the faculty member you want to work with on some other area, and then that's the basic courtesy. And then you work with on a different project, which is some experiments, do simulations, computer programming, or whatever it is. Okay. This you have to find for yourself. Okay. And with you are in what, second year? Okay. So this is something which I can understand. You won't be able to relate to the area of the research. Okay. But what you can do when you associate with an experimental project is the guy is using different kinds of equipment, sophisticated equipment. Okay, so maybe he's using a UV vis or using a GCMS, and you can understand how those equipments work. It is measuring concentration or something. What is the principle behind which it's working? So that learning is something which you can get. And that learning is something which you have to aspire to get, not just have the superficial knowledge of, I put the sample in and I'm getting some reading and I'm taking out the measurement. Okay? So you have to get deeper into whatever you're doing. Whether if you're using a particular instrument, you should know how that instrument is working, on what principle it's working. So that is what getting into research is. You can just say, put the samples and like, oh yeah, temperature, write down the temperature, write down the composition. I mean, then you're not really learning anything. So, but if somebody says, oh, I don't want to do experiments. I want to do only simulations on the computer. So then you have to work with Idaya Raja, for example, who does a lot of calculations, and then other people are doing only simulations. Jayanti does only fluid mechanics. So you need to spend time, see what you're doing. They may be writing code in C, C++, in MATLAB, in Fortran, some language, OpenFOAM. So if you like learning code and doing coding, then you should work on that kind of a project. So the thing is, if you're interested in mathematics, coding, then there is a set of faculty members. So that is the broad way you can split experiments and theory. If you want to do experiments, faculty doing experiments. That reduces your options by 50%. And then you can decide. But you have to spend time and then decide whether you really like what they are doing or not.
So one more question. While choosing elective courses, also there's a similar problem. We don't know what the course is actually about. There is hardly a paragraph of description. So how do we know about the course better?
The first thing is, we are trying to fix that problem. We are trying to give you more than one paragraph. Okay, we are trying to give you more information in the curriculum. Okay, I think we are consciously working towards doing that to give you more information. Choosing electives. These days, we have actually opened up the electives in the sense, sit down here. We have opened up in the sense that we are making it possible for our students to take even master's level courses and at the 5,000 level, 6,000 level, just to make sure that they have a broader spectrum. Okay. It is true that you may not get a very broad idea, a detailed idea about the course, but you can get a broad idea. For example, whether the course is mathematical or whether it is qualitative. That kind of information you can get by talking to the faculty member. If you write to the faculty member, he's not going to reply, okay? Because these are questions, we get 1,000 questions from 2,000 students every day. And if we start replying to this, we'll never go anywhere. So, one source of information, of course, which you already know is your seniors, right? Who will tell you whether the course was mathematically oriented or whether it was experimentally oriented, whether there's a lot of programming assignments, whether what are the nature of the assignments that are involved in that course, and what exactly is the learning you do, whether you have to do computer-based assignments or whether you have to do hand-based hand calculations. There are courses which are qualitative. For example, there are courses on polymer processing where they'll describe the process involved. Okay. So we have a complete different spectrum of courses again in the electives. I personally, whatever course I teach is essentially mathematically oriented. Okay. But there are courses that are completely non-mathematically oriented. And I think that's the way I would like to again classify. I mean, if you're interested in something qualitative, understanding a lot of technology, material processing techniques, things like that. Then there are courses like polymer processing and all that which we have. If you are an environmentally savvy guy, then you want to do courses like environmental engineering or air pollution or ecological engineering, things like that. So, I mean, I think it depends on the genes you have. Okay, if your gene framework is more society conscious, then you possibly do all these societally relevant courses. If you are more into abstract thinking, then you'll do things like dynamical systems theory and different courses in the physics department. So I think, but beyond that, I don't think you should worry too much about it. Whether you are doing, physics course or whether you're doing a math course, it doesn't really matter. Both are equally abstract and conceptual. Yeah. I don't know if I'm answering all your questions. I'm just saying something.
Sir, you told that chemical engineering covers a wide variety of areas. So suppose in the 4 years we take some elective in some other department, and we like it very much. So some seniors were talking about cross-apping. After 4 years, if we want to pursue our interest in that instead of chemical engineering. So how difficult or how easy it is to do that?
It is very difficult. Okay. Let me tell you. Supposing you are a chemical, I'm telling you this from a recent experience. I had a student, a very good student. She was a very good student and she had a publication and all that, and she was one of the brightest students I've had, and she could do good research. But she wanted to work in computational neuroscience. Okay, she's a chemical engineer, and her B.Tech project was on chemical engineering, computational neuroscience, and she went to a conference, presented paper, everything. But at the end of the day, she could not get an offer in computational neuroscience. She had to go to chemical engineering department, but she was interested in doing something mathematical. So, I think when you're going to work in an area which is different from your core area, it's kind of a bit of a difficult thing to convince people. Okay, especially if you're going to be going for a master's. And you won't get scholarship. If you're willing to pay your way through and then go, it's a different story. But if you're going to stick to your own core area, then I think the chances are much brighter. But I think once you go there, just like I told you, the B.Tech program things are interdisciplinary. Even in the Ph.D. program things are interdisciplinary. So you can always work on something which is closer to your heart. Okay?
Also, sir, in doing that, how much CGPA matters, because CGPA and learning are for me learning is good, but while applying for exam it becomes too much messy things, and I can't maintain such high CGPA of 9 point or somewhat like that.
Yeah.
So while applying for higher studies for P.h.D. in abroad or somewhere in a prestigious university, how does that CGPA matter, sir? And also,
unfortunately, the CGPA is the only thing which matters sometimes. Unfortunately.
But if
I agree that the CGPA is not necessarily reflective of the knowledge that you have. I understand what you're saying. So that could be a guy with a low CGPA who may be having good this thing. It's just that he doesn't have good exam writing abilities. So then sometimes there's a faculty member whom you're associated with who can help you. He can say, look, this guy doesn't have a good CGPA, but he understands what he's doing, and he can write you a letter of recommendation, and that can help you. Okay. So under that, those are the ways out. You should not worry about it right now. I think you should enjoy the course, enjoy the courses, and if you do well in the exam, very good. If you don't do so well in the exam, okay, next time. Okay. Don't worry so much about the CGPA at this stage. Enjoy the process of doing the courses. I think that's the most important thing. I want you guys to enjoy the every day of your life here. Enjoy, not party, yeah. Do the courses and enjoy. I want you to live in the present. Don't worry so much about the future. Like, 4 saal baad kya hoga? What is this? You're worrying about what's happening after 4 years, and you're losing 3 years of your life in the campus here. So live in the present. Try to take it one day at a time. And then don't worry about what's going to happen after 4 years. Am I going to do MBA? Am I going to do IAS? what I will go for P.h.D. I mean, I don't think you should think about that at all. At the end of the third year, you start thinking about it, because you start thinking about it now, you're only thinking about what's going to happen after 4 years. And what do you do after 4 years? You think, what am I going to do after 4 more years? Yeah, you are young, you should live in the present. Do what you want to do, enjoy, and then when it comes to third year, then you worry. So you enjoy your courses, try to learn as much as you can, try to do well with the exams, okay? And then whatever the CGPA is, if you are sincere, then definitely will be a path is yours. Okay? Yeah. Hey, can we reduce the AC a bit? So the AC is a bit cold for me. Yeah.
So nowadays, as you mentioned, we are applying data mining, machine learning,
Yeah.
and chemical engineering.
Yeah.
So are like jobs research sprouting up, or like can you comment on that? Like how many jobs are they prevalent in these types of fields?
There are lots of jobs in data mining and data analytics.
So, but applying in chemical engineering.
I think there are lots of opportunities in chemical engineering also. Okay, but I think right now it's very good. So 4 years later also I don't anticipate a problem. But like you said, if you want to restrict yourself to chemical engineering, then maybe I would say about 15% of the jobs would be related to chemical engineering. Others would be other non-chemical engineering areas. But you see, the mathematical techniques that are used are the same. So I think the way I would look at it is, there are certain basic concepts which are used in data mining and data analytics. Whether you apply to a chemical engineering problem or whether you apply it to a different problem, it doesn't really matter, because the mathematical techniques are the same. Okay? Yeah, somebody had a question at the back.
Sir, so actually I'm not interested in research, but I'm interested in core. Like I want to work in a core industry. So after giving GATE, should I do an M.Tech and then do a core industry job, or should I like give GATE after fourth year and do a core in PSU job?
I would, I'll give you my opinion on this, okay? And I'm saying this from the experience of some of my own classmates. You are asking me whether to get a master's after B.Tech and then go for a core job, or go for a job before the master's. I would recommend, and I would strongly believe that getting a master's degree immediately after the bachelor's is much better. Okay? So if you can do the master's, say basically again, B.Tech, broad education. Master's, you start working in one particular area, one particular project, one research, you get slightly deeper into a subject. Okay? And it could be again something very applied to a particular industry. And I think it is good to do the all your education in one shot. Once you take a break, I've personally seen many students who want to come back who are not able to come back. I mean, I think that could be social reasons, that could be personal reasons, okay? And there are practical issues. And from that point of view is what I'm giving them my reply. And I've seen many students who wanted to, who say, oh, I'll come back after 1 or 2 years, go abroad. And once they start working, I think the salary comes in, and then there are problems, and then they just find it very difficult to come back for an education. Okay? So I would recommend that you complete all your education needs in one shot.
One more thing, what is better, masters in India or masters in outside?
If you are going to a good university abroad, you can definitely go abroad and take a look at the thing, because there is some exposure to how people are doing things in a different country, in a different environment. But if you're not going to such a good university abroad, then I think you should go to one of the top IITs, top institutes in India, which are the IITs, and do your masters. Because like I told you earlier, the kind of work that is being done at the IITs now, these days, is on par with what is being done elsewhere. Okay? So, whether you're going to MIT or Stanford or Berkeley, then I think that you should go there. But if you're going to northwestern Mississippi, nobody has heard of that university, then I think there's no point going there. Okay?